All right. With that, fire away.
Well, with that, why don't you start? Thanksgiving's tomorrow. You've had quite a year, and all that, and getting the big contract. What are you kind of thankful for, though, overall, entering Thanksgiving?
We had a little team Bible study on Monday night, and our chaplain, Tom Lamphere, has been the chaplain here for a long time, had a great teaching lesson for us. He said, the Bible talks about being thankful in all circumstances, and it doesn't mean you lose a game or make a mistake and then say, oh, thank you for that. It's not something like that. It's meaning that there is always something to be thankful for no matter what your circumstances are, and you can choose to have a joy-filled perspective and a joyful heart and choose to find the positive, and I think that hit home for me and is something I'll be thinking about certainly on Thanksgiving, because there is a lot to be thankful for. And you can choose to focus on the negative, you can choose to focus on the positive, and we have to get up every day and choose to focus on that positive, and that's what we're trying to do.
So you're coming off a game in which you had the 2 interceptions. A lot of people would be negative. How do you kind of turn that into making it a positive in the future or whatever?
Yeah, you need to learn from them. You need to talk about them, be coached, hear your coach's thoughts, and talk to your teammates about it, take ownership for it, and then move on with that gained experience. And that's the way it is with every game and every setback or failure you have. And this past week is no different. So, I'd like to think I'll be a better quarterback come this Sunday and the rest of the season.
So Coach said, part of it is miscommunication. How do you guys get more on the same page to avoid those in the future?
Well, I think at the end of the day, if we're just going to focus on the 2 interceptions, I don't think it was anything more than it was my fault. I don't think there was a whole lot of miscommunication when you look at why those interceptions happened. Those 2 were on me, plain and simple, and we don't really need to look too much more into it. But there's 60-some other plays in the game that we talked through, and they were successful or unsuccessful for a variety of reasons.
Kirk, what do you think needs to happen to get the running game going a little bit better and more consistently on a yards per carry basis?
I don't know that it's any one thing. I don't know that I can give you a 3-line answer. When you go back and look at maybe plays that weren't as efficient running the football, it's for different reasons. One may be a mistargeted blocking. One may be a guy was targeted properly, but the defensive player got off the block. Another one may be, we're running into the wrong look, and I can get out of it, or we can change it to a better look. There's a lot of reasons, and it's not the same one over and over and over. It's a variety of things. And then when you get into a game where you're behind by 2 scores and you're in the second half, you're not going to get the opportunities. And so then the final stat's going to look a little bit more lopsided towards the pass game as a result. And so there's a variety of things we can do. When you put it all together, then that's what the complete run game then will look a lot better.
How much do you think that would help the offense overall, though, just getting that aspect of it going a little bit better?
You'd like to think it would help it, but we've also shown that there have been a couple games where we've had a very good offensive day, and it's not like we had a unbelievable run game. So I don't really look at it as that's the cure, but if we're running the ball effectively, that certainly helps, and we'll always take it.
Kirk, as you guys left Lambeau, did that feel like a loss, or did you see some benefits in the tie as teams start to punch up at the end here?
I didn't know what to feel, and I think what I'd say is the cliche answers for what a tie can do. It all comes down to the end of the season and how the final records work. If we're 9-6-1, we're better than a 9-7 team. If we're 10-5-1, we're better than a 10-6 team, but worse than an 11-5 team. So I'm just not saying anything you all don't already know, but that's the reality of it, and we're just going to have to play the rest of these games and then see how it all shakes out.
How about just the importance of Sunday's game? Tiebreaker at stake, staying on the Bears' heels and all that.
Sure. Again, I feel like a little bit of a broken record because the question each week is, how important is this game? And the answer is, yeah, it's important. They all are. I don't really know how to give you a different answer on it. It's an important game. We need and want to come out with a win, and there's certainly a sense of urgency as there is every week as we prepare.
Can you put your finger on some of the struggles you've had in primetime games? You've had good numbers. It's just the record.
I think we'd have to go back through all the primetime games I've played and talk through them because every game is different. And we won last year. When I say we, the previous team I was on, we won last year on Thanksgiving night, and I don't think I played all that well, and we won. So it gets a little bit convoluted when you start to say, you try to look at a stat and pair it with a player. It becomes maybe a bigger, more complicated picture than just a win-loss record and trying to judge performance.
Just what's different about primetime games? Do you guys approach different, or is it just a game that's played at night as opposed to at noon?
I think if there's a difference, it's going to be that you're going to be playing good football teams. You're not playing. We got flexed to that prime time last week because we were playing a really good football team, and if either of us weren't good, I don't think we get flexed. So if there was a difference with prime time, that would be it. I don't know of many other differences. I certainly don't treat them any different when I play.
You have to sit around a lot, right? Go on Sunday with
Yeah.
There's got to be a little bit of a mental kind of adjustment. You're so used to like a new kickoff.
I don't know. I think the primetime game before the Bears, the Saints game, that was one of my better games all year. And I felt really good sitting around all day. And again, I think the untrained eye is going to look at the final score, going to look at a play or two and say, well, that was not a good performance. And a trained eye is going to look a little deeper and say, well, let's go play by play and see how we did. And it's week to week as every game is, regardless of when you play. I mean, I feel like on Saturday, if we're playing at noon, I feel like I'm sitting around all day Saturday waiting for the game. So it goes both ways.
Kirk, the old sort of truism that you need to be able to run the ball to set up play action, is that still the case as much as it's always thought to be?
I haven't felt a total dependence on that. I also believe that at times you can use the play action to set up the run, or you can use the screen game to slow down the pass rush, and you can use all elements of offensive football to help the complementary action. So it really goes in all directions and vice versa. And the key is to be multiple. The key is to have plays that are the same but look different, and plays that are different that look the same, and keep the defense guessing no matter what the scheme might be.
Kirk, do you think there's a lot more scrutiny toward your game, especially from a national basis because of your contract? I mean, you were briefly the highest paid guy. Maybe if you had been signed as the fifth highest paid guy, it wouldn't be as much or whatever. Does that add more scrutiny to your game from a national basis, especially?
That would, for me to answer that, I have to be reading it and know about it. I really don't know what's being said or what's being scrutinized. I honestly can't tell you. I know that as an NFL quarterback who's playing, you're going to get scrutinized. I was making league minimum my fourth year in Washington, and I was pretty scrutinized that year too. So I think that it goes without saying that when you're an NFL quarterback, you're going to be judged and evaluated inside the building, outside the building, and you understand that's what you signed up for, and that's certainly a part of the job.
You've now faced every team in this division. Early thoughts on what you've seen, and is it visibly any different than your former division?
It's good football teams and well-coached teams with good players, and they're all hard-fought games, and certainly what I expected coming in.
When you look back at what really worked in the fourth quarter in week 2, is there any way that the offense can kind of build on those things, more enlightenment of how the Packers played defense this year?
Well, one was a 2-minute drill, so it was a lot of just drop back pass, and certainly no run game to speak of there because you're trying to just get down there as quickly as you can, and so there was success in that. There was an explosive play on a play action, deep throw. Obviously, explosive plays are very important to offensive success, and that was one of the biggest, most glaring issues with Sunday night was we didn't have any explosive plays. When we did have completions or gains, they really weren't more than 9 or 10 yards, and I think that made it hard to sustain our drives as well. So we certainly are going to look for those explosive plays when they're there, and move the football any way we can. But I do think we got aggressive in the fourth quarter and overtime of that game, and it certainly worked in that game. We moved the football, but Packers are going to watch that same film, and I'm sure they're going to have some adjustments too to their plan.
Has there been a simplification of the offense at all this week? Zimmer said on Monday that he thought maybe there was too much volume in the
Yeah, I think it's a little early to say. I think it's a little early to decide. I mean, we've even talked third down, haven't talked red zone, have barely installed first and second down, haven't really practiced the reps full speed yet. So hard for me to say at this point.
How this offense compared to what you're used to? And has it gotten to the point where it may have been too much?
I think it's pretty similar. I think, again, I go back to some of the critical errors, the negative plays. I don't think that volume would have been the reason the play resulted in a negative outcome. I think, there are other reasons, but it certainly I don't think is volume. So, we're going to be critical of ourselves, look at everything we can do better, and try to correct in all areas. But I don't know that it's any one thing that you say, okay, we do this, and now we'll just suddenly be the greatest offense ever.
Kirk, what is it that you see as a fellow quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that maybe people at home don't know about what makes him so good?
He's got a quick mind, a quick arm, and quick feet. And when you can combine all three, you can be pretty lethal as a quarterback. And his ability to make plays off schedule. Again, I feel like I'm telling you things you already know. His ability to make plays off schedule, his mental quickness, his command of his offense. He's got every tool in the toolbox, and he knows when to use which one. And there's an awareness of how to play the position, and especially it seems in crunch time that makes him one of the best players ever, one of the best arm talents and quarterbacks ever.